Ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
We'll visit with 7 cattle-producing families across the nation as we highlight the 2014 winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award.
And now, a special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. The 2014 Regional Environmental Stewardship Award winners were announced during the Cattle Industry Summer Conference here in Denver. The 7 regional winners showcased the efforts of cattlemen and women in every part of the country who are working hard to leave the land better than they found it. Today, we'll get a glimpse of the accomplishments of each one of our regional winners in 7 very different parts of the country. And we'll see how they've gone the extra mile in taking action to improve their land, their cattle, and all their natural resources. We begin with a visit to an area where you might not think beef cattle production would be taking place. Our Region 1 winner is from Kentucky.
In the hills of northern Kentucky, not far from the Ohio River in the city of Louisville, Sherwood Acres Farm is a family operation that finishes belted Galloway cattle. John Bednarski and his wife Sylvia had careers outside of agriculture, but decided to start a farm and produce beef.
We started with belted Galloway cattle in 2003. It was a Father's Day gift from my wife and kids. I grew up in Vermont and had an uncle who had a dairy farm, and so I had a little bit of farming experience, but I was intrigued by the breed because they came into the U.S. back in the 50s in the Northeast, so I was familiar with them and wanted to start a beef breed.
Originally, we thought it was going to be 3 cattle, 3 heifers, and we thought it would be John's hobby, and it's become more than a hobby for him.
Now, each day, John cares for his cattle, finishing them on a mixture of 90% grass and 10% grain. The resulting Sherwood Acres beef is direct marketed to consumers.
Kentucky Proud in our state is a big initiative that adds credibility to our product. And so when we go to a farmer's market, people see a viable product that is a safe product that's available to them. We're also in a chain of 4 stores in metropolitan Louisville. We're in several restaurants, and we also have a retail store in our own community. Back in 2006, we decided that we were going to do home delivery as a service to our customers, and so we bought a kind of a boxy sedan that looked like a belted Galloway, and we painted it like a belted Galloway.
Delivery vehicle, I call it the cow car. We do quite a bit of driving with it, and I have put about 155 or 156,000 delivery miles on it, and it's a recognizable kind of a billboard for us.
That's the unique thing about our operation, is that we actually go from pasture to plate. And to talk with consumers right up front and see what their concerns are, and then have them come out to the farm on top of that is just really rewarding.
The effort John puts into raising and marketing high-quality beef is matched by his commitment to improving the land. Sherwood Acres Farm is compact with a total of 150 acres, and though the land looks picture-perfect now, when John and his family arrived, it was not in good condition.
We've done nearly every conservation practice that's available. That's been kind of one of my goals, not only from an educational standpoint, since I'm a beginning farmer, to learn how to do these things correctly, but also to improve the ground and make the habitat for the animals and also wildlife better on our farm.
John and Sylvia have installed a pond, improved their forage base, implemented a rotational grazing system, and worked hard to protect Harrods Creek. They've built stabilized stream crossings and participated in the Conservation Reserve Program to plant trees in lowland areas near the creek.
So they fenced off the creek, moved the fence away from the creek, and allowed a buffer to establish between that corridor. Where they have to cross the creek at, they put in stream crossings to keep sediment down and muddiness and stabilize the bank.
The things that they have done, like the stream crossing, the tree plantings, They've just cleaned up the farm and established what I consider healthy vegetation to protect the creek.
To reduce mud and erosion, John has installed heavy use areas at gates and as winter feeding pads for their cattle.
And in those conditions, they're going to be happier, they're going to eat more, and it's about gains per day for us. And so those feed pads, those winter feeding areas really pay dividends.
Always willing to host visitors to the farm, John has become a leader in the beef industry, serving a term as national president of the U.S. Belted Galloway breed. In that role, he and Sylvia visited nearly all 50 states to talk with members and share their story of stewardship.
So as we would travel the country, we would take literature, show pictures of things that we've done on our farm because we're proud of them. They're good practices, they pay dividends, they're great for the environment, and we just want to help people learn about them and participate.
Everywhere you look on Sherwood Acres Farm, the water is protected, the grass is growing, and the Belted Galloways are thriving. The willingness to tackle whatever project will improve their farm is helping the Bednarski family build a legacy on the land.
I'm very proud of the work he does, protecting the water. Every time we go down below where it's been flooding so much, we think of a new project to do. And I'm just proud of everything he does, not just with the water, but with everything that he dreams and does.
There's always something out there that we can improve, and that's the interesting thing about farming. It's never over. There's always something that we can make better, and it's a goal of ours to keep working on that.
NCBA members are helping make a difference in their environment every day. To join them as a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit the website beefusa.org. Ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, we'll take you to Northern California to see a ranch that's raising Wagyu cattle very near the Pacific coastline. And we'll visit the grasslands of South Dakota to see how 2 generations are working together to care for their cattle and the environment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're watching the award-winning NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman on RFD-TV.
This is yours, and so is what grows there. Not theirs or theirs, yours. You need this to fight this and this to grow more this. Because the more of this you feed them, the less this you spend on that, which leaves more of this here. Don't let them take this from you. Chaparral takes care of weeds and brush, and that's that.
To truck guys, the truck is everything. And when you put them in charge of making an unbeatable truck, good things happen. This is the Ram 1500, the 2014 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. And first ever back-to-back winner. Guts, glory, Ram.
Welcome back. When it comes to environmental stewardship, there are all kinds of challenges cattle producers face as they work to care for the land and to leave a legacy for future generations. One by one, we're featuring the regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Awards. And now, let's head to Region 2 and meet the winning family from Florida.
Centered on the convergence of the Hillsborough River and Blackwater Creek, Two Rivers Ranch has been in the Thomas family for more than 80 years. This cow-calf operation was started in 1932 by entrepreneur Wayne Thomas. Since then, it has grown to encompass 17,000 acres and includes timber and sod growing operations, as well as a hunting lease enterprise.
I'm the 3rd generation, and my son is the 4th. My dad was 8 years old in 1932 when my grandfather, Mr. Wayne Thomas Sr., bought the first 7,500 acres. And of course, my dad just had a love of ranching and cattle, and that was all he ever wanted to be, was a rancher.
Just having the opportunity to take care and manage the land and look after all the livestock. Something I've always wanted to do since I was a little boy. I'm really proud and blessed to be a part of the family and have an opportunity to do something like this.
As you look across the pastures, it's hard to believe that Two Rivers Ranch is on the doorstep of one of the nation's largest cities. Two Rivers is less than 20 miles from downtown Tampa and has over 7 million people living within 50 miles of its boundaries. In fact, a significant portion of the water that flows into Tampa comes directly from sources on this ranch.
Hillsborough River supplies pretty much about 90% of the city of Tampa's drinking water, 80 to 90%.
We have a very high profile here as a result of the importance of our natural resource. The integrity of our watershed and the fact that we are blessed with high quality water is a very important part of our business model here. So we have pure water from a pure place, and we plan on keeping it that way.
At Two Rivers Ranch, they've developed a unique way to help educate the public about water and land conservation. On their land, the Thomas family created an environmental education center called Crystal Springs Preserve.
Crystal Springs Preserve is a 525-acre wildlife preserve. It's at the northeast corner of Two Rivers Ranch, and we teach environmental education to over 50,000 students a year, kindergarten through college. It's been an amazing opportunity to enrich their science academics and also to help them understand the stewardship of the land.
We think it's a very reverent approach towards the management of the natural resources. Gives the public an opportunity to come in and enjoy the beauty of the river in the spring. Gives children a chance to learn about our most important natural resource, which is water.
In the late 1980s, the Thomas family found another beneficial use for the water on the ranch. They began bottling it for drinking, turning this natural resource into a valuable crop.
Upper Hills is the main spring water brand in the state of Florida. We bottle roughly 600,000 gallons a day of the spring water, through our spring that shoots out roughly 40 million gallons into the river on a daily basis.
Two Rivers Ranch uses proven land management techniques to enhance the cow-calf operation. The improved pastures are actively managed through controlled burns and seeding, while herds are limited and rotated so native ranges and multiple ecosystems are not overworked.
The cattle are in here for a period, try to graze it down, and then we move them to another area and let them graze that down. It gives us the ability to defer grazing. So we're grass farmers, essentially, and we move our cattle around and try to keep them in large groups, come into an area, utilize that forage in that area, and then vacate and rest that land for a while.
The Thomas family has demonstrated their commitment to protecting and improving the land upon which they make a living. And the goal is to continue the conservation efforts that were started generations ago.
I have some big shoes to fill. Follow after my dad and my grandfather and my great-grandfather. The history of our family has come so far and means a lot to me and a lot to a lot of people.
Stewardship is something that's been instilled in our family for the better part of the past century. And we take that as a sacred responsibility that we have not only to ourselves but to our fellow man, and I'm certainly committed to it. There's a little bit of blood, a little bit of sweat, and a little bit of tears on just about every square inch of this place. We started out standing on the shoulders of giants, and hopefully someday somebody will say the same thing about us. That'll be great.
With every one of these operations we visit, there is a common theme, the goal of leaving the land better than they found it. Now, we head to Region 3 to meet a winning family from Iowa.
In the hills of southwest Iowa, it's not hard to find your way to Nichols Farms, with the big bull named Stanley along the road to greet you. Nichols Farms is known around the world for its purebred cattle genetics.
This year we're breeding 1,500 cows and heifers, so at any given time we've got about 2,000 head of seed stock on the farm. Our main business is selling bulls. Here in Iowa we will sell between 400 and 450 bulls a year.
The farm was founded by Dave's dad, joined by Dave and his late brother Lee. Today, Dave, his wife Phyllis, and sister-in-law Lillian work together in the operation, with help from a crew of dedicated long-term employees. Nichols Farm stretches across nearly 6,000 acres of owned and rented crop and pasture ground.
We've always had to buy land that had been abused, and our land, we've been our whole life taking land that was in crops and converting it to grass and hay, where most of our peers have been taking pasture land and converting it to corn ground. We think we're doing it right.
Much of the land here is highly erodible. The Nichols family does no-till corn and soybeans using terraces to help save soil, but they keep the majority of their land in hay and grass.
Cattle can graze, and in a managed program where stewardship and care for the land is important, you can have them out on the land, and the land can be protected, the water quality can be maintained and improved, and I think Nichols Farms is a great example of that.
Dave is especially proud of a 160-acre section his dad bought in 1946. The field had been abandoned and was so badly eroded that not even weeds would grow in some places. After decades of careful stewardship, the land is now healthy and productive.
Because of cattle, we were able to utilize their manure and utilize the grass, and this farm now has a proven yield of 180 bushel of corn, and this hay crop this year I expect to get 6 tons an acre. So I started really early in life understanding that we are stewards of this land, and my dad's dream was that every acre of land that he owned, he would leave it better than when he found it. And it gives me a lot of pride to know that this land is what's going to feed our cows this winter.
While reducing soil erosion, the Nichols also protect water quality. They've planted wide buffer strips along the streams that pass through their land, and they've built dozens of ponds for cattle and wildlife. They fence out the ponds, running pipeline to stock tanks so the water stays clean and clear. Alongside the dry lots where their bulls and heifers are developed, the Nichols family invested in settling basins to ensure any runoff is captured and filtered.
And so we spent somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000 and put up settling basins and structures, and we did this without government grants. We did this not because we had to, but because we wanted that any runoff of our lots was going to stay there. I just look back and think that was one of the best things we did.
As one of the largest purebred cattle operations in the U.S., Nichols Farms hosts visitors from around the world, and Dave is skilled at sharing the story of how the family manages the cattle and the land.
These cows are converting sunshine and water and energy and putting it into beef while they're improving the land.
A beef industry leader and passionate about the land he loves, Dave Nichols and his family believe stewardship pays dividends now and for the future.
My goal in life is I want to grow 2 blades of grass where my dad grew 1. I want to wean an 800-pound calf where he weaned a 400-pound calf, and save the soil. I believe that we are stewards of the soil, but one of the reasons we're placed on earth is to improve the soil and improve life for people, and we can do both. And cows and forages improve the land for future generations.
If you'd like to find out more about the Environmental Stewardship Award, see photos and videos, or learn how to apply for the award, just visit the website environmentalstewardship.org. We'll be right back.
No storm is too powerful for New Purina Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, formulated with ultimate weather resistance. That means more minerals in the feeder and available to your cattle. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals provide more consistent intake and balanced mineral nutrition to optimize herd health and breedback rates. See the difference at your local Purina dealer or visit cattlenutrition.com. Wind and Rain Storm Minerals, another way Purina is building better cattle.
It's amazing to see how varied our cattle industry is across the country. The land, the weather, and the pressure of urban development are all factors that vary widely from one state to the next. And at the same time, cattle producing families have so much in common as they meet their own unique challenges. As we continue featuring our Regional Stewardship Award winners, we now visit the Region 4 award recipients from Texas.
In Central Texas, the day is still new as Bruce Berg and his wife Barbara are out checking on their cattle. Bruce grew up on a Missouri farm, but has built a career in the financial industry. When his job took his family to the Dallas area, Bruce realized his dream of owning a ranch.
I grew up in Missouri on a farm and ranch. Actually got a degree in animal science and a master's in animal physiology, and went to work in Northwest Iowa. Became interested in the markets and actually ended up working on Wall Street. Went to New York, had an opportunity to come back to Texas. Immediately after coming back to Texas, I knew I wanted a ranch. So we run a mostly purebred Angus herd. We actually have one Charolais that is a resident animal. But otherwise, they were all originally brought from Nebraska for the genetics, and we run about 200 mama cows and raise replacement heifers, and steers are actually marketed through the folks that we buy the bulls from.
Bruce first returned to his farm roots 21 years ago. He bought and improved 2 other Texas properties before buying what is now Rocosa Ridge Ranch in 2006.
What's unique about it is it's really 2 ranches in one. The north end is really tall grass prairie, and it's meant to be open. And it's a good example in a lot of areas of the remnants of what the prairie looked like originally. And it's fantastic for cattle. The south end, like I say, has the cliffs and bluffs, and it's just completely different topography. It's actually managed more from a wildlife standpoint, and the cattle are really there to enhance the property from a wildlife standpoint.
When the Bergs first bought the ranch, the land was in poor condition and all the cross-fencing was gone. One of the first priorities was setting up a rotational grazing program, installing 12 miles of fencing, and beginning the work of improving the grasses and native range.
The biggest thing is once you go into a rotation, the carrying capacity of the land went up considerably. The quality of land, we burnt all 6,000 acres through controlled burns with the help of the NRCS, and that did a tremendous amount.
The way Bruce maintains the vigor of these grasses is by his proper grazing. He implements a simple rotational grazing plan, but he moves when he needs to move. And his key indicator are these bunch grasses, in which he takes about a quarter of the standing forage, but he ends up leaving half of that plant material for the resource itself. What that does is that maintains that plant vigor. It keeps the ground covered. It keeps the soil moist for times when we get into drought.
By keeping stocking rates low, Bruce has a cushion when drought occurs, and his cattle are able to graze year-round with no supplemental hay. The Bergs have built a series of ponds and run 19 miles of pipeline to water troughs, allowing them to distribute grazing across the land more evenly. Bruce and his crew have also battled invasive cedar trees while using an innovative partnership to help fund the effort.
And so we actually worked a partnership with Fort Hood, a mitigation project, and we saved and preserved that old growth cedar, which is a nesting material for the warbler, and we actually used the money from that mitigation project to do the cedar removal on the rest of the ranch. So we've gone into an extensive cedar removal program. And on the south end, we ran 2 skid steers, clipping cedar for about 53 weeks. And on the north end, we've been running about 4 months here. Again, the control burn helps on the small cedar. The large cedar, we had to actually clip it. But it opens up the land.
Native grasses are reviving. A barn built in 1896 has been restored, and the Bergs are seeing wildlife increase as their cattle herd thrives. As committed as Bruce is to seeing the land improved, he's equally passionate about sharing the story of caring for the land with people from urban areas.
From a leadership standpoint, I think he's in a class of his own. From bringing out folks from the cities to learn about resource management, from working cattle in the pens to teaching a youngster how to hunt for the first time.
A Lone Star land steward, Bruce is committed to taking step-by-step actions to ensure Rocosa Ridge Ranch gets better every year. That approach is paying off for his cattle, for the land, and for his own peace of mind.
You know, you catch a summer evening and you're sitting out in the pasture and watching the cows graze, and it's about as close to being in church as you can get. Each year we try and look at it again. At the first of the year, we look back on it and say, what are the big projects that we're going to try and accomplish this year to make this ranch better, have better carrying capacity, and make it better from the wildlife and from the cattle standpoint. And that's my view with regard to managing the land, is making sure that it's better again the way you leave it, because you're a steward for the time you have it, and then after that it's somebody else's job, and you hope to leave it better.
Help NCBA members improve the sustainability of this great industry by becoming a member of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit the website beefusa.org. We'll be back with more right after this.
New Holland is the undisputed leader in hay tools. We give farmers a wide range of innovative equipment that increases efficiency and productivity all year round. Because to us, smart means providing a smooth, clean cut with faster dry down, plug-free conditioning, and superior bale density. And smart means leaving less hay on the field to feed more livestock in less time. That's New Holland Smart. Visit your local New Holland dealer today.
Join the nation's hottest cattle marketers and the nation's hottest cattle convention, the 2015 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show in sizzling hot San Antonio. Stop by the Superior booth to find out how we top the market in all aspects of livestock marketing. From internet auctions to national television broadcast, we offer it all. Be sure to remember the Alamo and remember Superior Livestock for all your livestock marketing needs.
Every day, cattlemen and women care for their land and their animals. They do so because they're committed to leaving what they have better than they found it. We're featuring the 2014 regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Now, let's head to Region 5 and the winning operation in southern Colorado.
Established in 1938, Weiniger Davis Ranch is a multi-generational cow-calf operation in southeastern Colorado. Although most of the day-to-day activities are handled by brothers Russell and Warren Davis, their 93-year-old father, Lyle, still has an active role in the operation.
My father, Lyle Davis, still very much a part of the ranch, and then 3 younger brothers. There's 4 brothers involved in this. 2 brothers currently, myself and Warren, still part of the working operation.
You know, Dad taught us from day one. I mean, I remember riding cattle with him, taking off, going to the sale with him. He has taught us everything we know about ranching.
I am well pleased with what we're doing with the cattle, and the kids have taken the ball and gone with that.
Weiniger Davis Ranch consists of 12,000 acres in 2 separate land parcels. Both locations have dealt with severe drought over the last several years, which has presented serious challenges when it comes to managing the ranch's resources.
If we would get 5 inches of rain a year, it would grow us grass and feed the cattle. But we haven't even had that the last few years.
We couldn't do anything about the wind, the dirt blowing, the damage that it had done, but you can minimize the impact that cattle have on a piece of ground. And so that's what we did. That's how we handled that.
Several years ago, the family began looking at ways to diversify and maintain a more stable operation. Things really changed when the family learned that the short grasses on the ranch make for excellent habitat for wildlife, particularly one rare bird.
In 2001 was kind of a game changer for myself, for the ranch, when we discovered that we had mountain plovers. And evidently they'd been here for the life of the ranch. And I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of it. And so we began a journey at that point to try to understand the wildlife values and what was happening here on the landscape and why these birds and other shortgrass prairie birds were here. I tell folks that, you know, if you drive by the ranch on Highway 71, there's not a sign out there that says mountain plovers, welcome here. And in reality, what we were doing and how we were managing the cattle was why the birds were there.
To ensure the long-term protection of the wildlife resources, the family converted the ranch to a perpetual conservation easement. The easement requires present and future landowners to maintain and protect the native ecosystems and requires proper livestock grazing to benefit the wildlife species.
We have areas set up for prairie dogs. We have areas set up for wildlife that they can establish themselves. We don't have to pull the cattle off.
It is exciting for me that we have in place specific things for the future of the ranch, and that the ranch, according to the easement, will stay in the cow-calf business forever.
The Davises believe in educating others about sustainable agriculture, so the family hosts educational tours and workshops to demonstrate the important relationship between conservation and agriculture.
What we have found was that the most effective way to help folks to understand what was going on here was to stand them out here and explain to them what's going on and to see it firsthand. And it gives us opportunity to have conversations with folks about what's happening here.
At Weiniger Davis Ranch, conservation is becoming a lifestyle, not just a land management strategy. The future is brighter for the Davis family thanks to their ongoing dedication to their cattle and the environment.
We have a renewable resource with the grass, and as long as we keep that grass growing, we can produce cattle.
I try to stay away from that word proud. I don't like that word. I'm happy with it. I'm glad that they're getting it done, yes.
We have the opportunity to grow beef here that's going to feed the rest of the world. I mean, what we're doing here is going to have an impact. We are at a much different place than we were pre-2000 through all of this, and it's a good place to be. I mean, it's really very thankful. So I'm excited about the future, excited about what the ranch is doing and where it's going.
You can learn more about the Environmental Stewardship Awards, including how to apply for the award, by visiting the website environmentalstewardship.org. We'll be back with more right after this.
If you're looking to raise the profit potential for your herd, then look to the proven Angus genetics offered by Ellingson Angus in St. Anthony, North Dakota. Their annual sale is the first Saturday in February, and they strive to produce premium quality Angus bulls and females.
I think what they'll find is a wide selection of cattle that can fit their need, and will find the right genetics, the right match for their individual herds.
Our number one goal is in utilizing any of these sire lines that we use is ensuring that they're the type of genetics that produce profitability for our commercial bull customer.
From calving ease to quality carcass traits and more, Ellingson Angus is where you'll find the Angus bulls that will make you money.
It's gotten to the point that the calves out of our bulls are demanding a premium.
Outstanding genetics and customer service make this the one sale you don't want to miss. Find out more at ellingsonangus.com or on sale day, view and bid at dvauction.com.
Welcome back. Now we're going to take you to Sonoma County, California to visit the Region 6 winner. Let's see how they're protecting the beautiful landscape while also raising cattle along the northern coast of the Golden State.
Just a short distance from the Pacific coastline, Conlon Ranches and True Grass Farms are managed by Guido Frassini. Born in Italy, Guido spent summers on this ranch while growing up. He came to work here full-time at the request of his great-aunt Ione.
The ranch has been in my family since 1867. Through blood and marriage, or like my great-aunt says, blood, sweat, tears, and toil, we've managed to come through multiple generations all the way to this point.
I am so glad because he's taught himself. He's self-taught because upon the death of my husband, I took over myself, and as a woman it's difficult to carry on. And when Guido threw his hat in the ring, I was so pleased. It was just wonderful to have this young man with such a passion and enthusiasm come on board.
Located just about an hour north of San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge, the ranch covers nearly 1,300 acres, borders an estuary that leads to the ocean, and is home to one of the largest Wagyu beef herds in the U.S.
We're the only Wagyu breeders and producers that are certified organic, and the only ones on the West Coast that finish Wagyu beef on grass. And that's what really spurred us into starting with the Wagyu, because we wanted to find a niche market and also to provide really high quality beef to San Francisco and the Bay Area. I started True Grass Farms 2 years ago to connect with the customers, to want to feed people that I knew instead of selling like we were calves to a feedlot. So partly was philosophical, partly the Bay Area is an incredible market.
When Guido began working full-time at the ranch 5 years ago, the pastures were in need of attention. With help from local universities as well as his own study, he gained knowledge of both cattle and land management and worked to use fencing to implement a grazing system.
We've definitely developed a program where by grazing with a higher stocking density and with giving a lot of rest periods, it's pulse grazing. So we're in potentially with 100 mother cows on 1 acre for 12 hours. And so they come in, it's pulse, they leave, everything takes time then to restore itself.
When Guido came on board, those were things that he noticed and began to develop. And so we have pictures of the pastures before Guido and pictures of the pastures after Guido, and there's quite a remarkable difference.
What I really enjoy about Guido's philosophy and what he does here is the fact that he is all about growing grass, and the byproduct of that is this amazing beef.
So what's amazing to me right now is just what he's done to keep this grassland intact in such a severe drought. And his land is healthy and vibrant in the face of some really extreme conditions. His water tables are rising. He's sequestering carbon and water. These are all extremely important and beneficial things that are happening here.
We've been able to see some tremendous increase in biomass production on the land, increase in organic matters, water filtration, especially in our wetlands, and diversity of habitats, and all this with food production.
Whether it's cattle handling and grass management, growing blueberries, or using social media to help market his beef, Guido is passionate about sharing ideas and hosting guests on the ranch to enjoy the food produced here.
My heritage is half Italian, and quality of life is as important as anything else. So the idea of sitting down to a table and being able to eat food that you've produced and put love into, and you can share that with your loved ones, with new people that you invite into your home, is one of the most sacred things you can do.
When you have something that's a treasure, you have to share it. And that's one of the first things he instituted here on the ranch, to bring in others so that they can understand what it takes to produce food in America.
With plentiful grass and cattle that gain as much as 4 pounds a day, Guido is committed to maintaining the health of the land under his care, and he's keenly aware of the daily blessings offered by this land and lifestyle.
This is my job. This is where I live. I can breathe this air, I can walk the land. It also puts me in a mindset, in a spirit that when I engage with others, I can bring that passion, because this constantly keeps me excited. Having that sense of pride in what we do also secures the environment because we live here. This is a reflection of us, and we're proud of it.
Ranchers in California and all across the United States are making a difference in protecting the environment. You can see their stories again and get more information by visiting our website, cattlemantocattleman.org. We'll be back with more right after this.
If you've been waiting for the right time to get the John Deere gear you've always wanted, then now's the time to get down to the Green Fever sales event. The hottest savings of the year are ready and waiting on compact and utility tractors, hay tools, and select lawn tractors too. Visit your John Deere dealer at johndeere.com/greenfever to learn more about all the great incentives, like 0% financing for 60 months on compact and select utility tractors. While you're online, enter the Big Gear Giveaway for a chance to take home your share of $30,000 in John Deere gear.
Join your fellow cattlemen in sizzling hot San Antonio for the 2015 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show. It's the beef industry's biggest convention, and it's great for education, networking, and fun. Plus, you can check out the NCBA Trade Show for the latest technology. It's the 2015 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show in sizzling hot San Antonio, Texas, February 4 through 7. Visit beefusa.org for more.
One of the great things about the beef cattle industry is the way one generation so often helps build a strong foundation for the next generation. And that's a key factor with our next story, where a ranching family is caring for the land while planning for the future. Our Region 7 winners are from South Dakota.
In north-central South Dakota, Rock Hills Ranch is a commercial Angus operation that was started by Lyle and Garnet Perman in 1977 after they graduated from college.
I'm the fourth generation of our family to ranch in this immediate area. 4 sets of great-grandparents homesteaded within 30 minutes of where we are today.
These days, it's Lyle's son who makes the day-to-day decisions on the ranch. Lyle and Garnet lease the entire operation to Luke and his wife Naomi. This unique arrangement allows Luke to gain valuable management experience while still having the benefit of Lyle's advice.
One of the things we did not want for Luke was for him to be 50 years old and Dad's still making the decisions, and suddenly Dad's gone and he's never made a hard choice in his life. And so we made the choice to lease the land to him and allow him to make the decisions with plenty of input from Dad.
One nice thing is Dad has been here for 35 years, so he knows the land and knows what to expect from it at different times. So his experience is really valuable.
You know, it was my goal to bring him into the business, and there was a time about 10 years ago where that was in question. He was, his National Guard unit was activated, and he spent time in Iraq and got injured. My goal was to teach him and to turn it over to him. And I can tell you right now that I can leave for a day, a week, a month, or a year, and I know Luke can run the operation and not have a problem.
Rock Hills Ranch is only 15 miles from the Missouri River, so water management is a priority. The ranch annually receives around 17 inches of rain, and keeping that moisture on the property is a primary goal. The Permans realized that improving their grass would also improve their water holding capacity, so they developed a rotational grazing system that would increase how much water soaks into the soil.
Ground cover helps us to hold the water and allow it to infiltrate on our property. We want to leave a lot of ground cover. I want every place that I walk on our ranch, I want to be able to look down and see ground cover. If I can't see ground cover, that's a problem. For us, the grass is the crop we're producing. The cattle are just a machine to harvest it. Like a farmer harvests corn, we harvest grass.
Primary driver of profit is how many cows can I have out here? And that all goes back to how I'm managing the grass. Because of cross fencing and maybe some different management practices, we've been able to increase our stocking rates on some of the ground.
The Permans understand a healthy wildlife population also reflects a healthy ecosystem, so they take time to consider how their conservation efforts will impact the native species.
There's a lot of nesting, ground nesting birds that we found are critical to healthy habitat. So a lot of times we'll use those key species as indicators of range health. We get joy out of seeing that kind of diversity. Plant diversity, animal diversity, bird diversity. What role do cattle play in that? Well, without cattle, you won't have any of that.
The entire Perman family is passionate about sharing their stewardship story. Garnet writes an online blog and a column for the local newspaper. And Rock Hills Ranch hosts several tours a year, which allow the public to see their conservation efforts firsthand.
Lyle and Garnet's Ranch is an open door. There's people coming and going all the time, and you never see them light up more than when they can share the land and the animals with people. And you don't hear them complaining when somebody wants to come out and see the ranch.
Hospitality is something that is important to both of us. We just feel like it's a good way to connect with people. One of the ways we give back is by letting people come experience what we have here, because God's been really good to us, and it's important to share that.
The future for Rock Hills Ranch looks bright, and the sustainable practices the Permans are using not only make the land healthier and more efficient, but strengthen it for generations to come.
Not everything we do is going to make us the most money right now, but in the long run, it's what's best for the cows and the land and future generations to be able to stay here.
Lyle always says, in the end, nature always wins, and so you kind of have to learn to work with it no matter what anyway. Hopefully there'll be some new things that come along that will help them establish, even a better resource than what we have.
I don't think that we've got everything figured out. There's still a lot of things we have yet to learn, and there's a lot of things that I've seen other people do that I've thought, I wonder if we could do that, maybe we can.
Are there things that we can improve on? Absolutely. We're always learning. It's just a never-ending process. Our goal is not to sustain what we've got. Our goal is to regenerate what there was at one time on this ranch. So we're not content with what we've got. We're always looking for ways to improve it and to restore what at one time was here.
You can see video replays of all the stewardship winners anytime. Just visit our website. That's cattlemantocattleman.org. We'll have more right after this.
Whether you're feeding cattle, milking cows, or baling hay, the work on your farm is never done, which is why you need equipment that works as hard as you do. Get the efficiency and versatility you need with Case IH. From Farmall compact and utility tractors to balers and mowers, all Case IH equipment is designed with one thing in mind: getting the job done. To learn more, visit caseih.com/livestock.
Working your cattle just got easier. Introducing the new Vet Gun delivery system, a new way to apply topical insecticides to your cattle. The Vet Gun lets you remotely treat cattle with effective parasite control, so you can do it from an ATV, on horseback, or just walking among the herd. It's that simple. The proven topical insecticide AML Vet Cap is used with the Vet Gun. It works fast to control horn flies and lice while minimizing stress on your cattle. Fast, easy, effective. Vet Gun. Check with your animal health supplier for availability.
We know who made that hitch. We know who cut the steel, who milled the ball, and who welded the seams. We know who tested, measured, and checked. We even know who thought the whole thing up. We're B&W, and we know your hitch. Because we don't make them halfway around the world. We make them all right here. B&W. Trusted.
I'm a cowboy poet, and I'm often asked why I don't write more farmer poetry. And I try to explain to people that cowboy poetry is about wrecks. Horse wrecks, cow wrecks, sheep wrecks, dog wrecks, financial wrecks, tyrannosaurus wrecks, any kind of wreck you can think of. For instance, when someone tells a story about a horse bucking over the haystack and dumping the cowboy in the pig pen, or a rancher missing a cow in the chute and getting run over while he's trying to check her teeth, everybody laughs their heads off. For some reason, A cowboy getting bucked off or run over, plowed down, drugged through the cattails, trampled, stomped, or butted is funny. I'm not sure why. I can think of two possible explanations. Number one, the cowboy mentality, and number two, the cow herself. The cowboy mentality is an attitude. It's a view of life. It's an ability to focus so intently on one thing that the other parts of the picture are blocked out. I mean, like he's standing on a railroad track at night, concentrating on the headlamp so hard he does not see the locomotive behind it. And then you mix this mentality with number two, the humble cow. Now there is a fine line between flight or fight in the bovine behavioral mechanism. But the cowboy always seems to be straddling the divide with a leg on either side when the cow makes her decision, fight or flight. Either way, the cowboy gets run over, so it all works out. Thus, it's the idea that one of God's dumbest creatures seems to regularly outwit our cowboy hero, and that makes it funny. On the other hand, farmer wrecks are always about machinery, hanging your coverall sleeve in the PTO and being stripped naked in a nanosecond, or getting run down by a robotic-controlled chemical spraying drone doesn't really elicit large guffaws. So that's why I don't write more farmer poetry. Of course, there's always the one about the farmer's daughter. This is Baxter Black from Out There.
Well, that's all for this special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.